In 2010, Brenda Johnson purchased a fixer-upper home in Cayuga, Indiana. Brenda had been warned about the house, in particular, the malevolent spirits that seemed to occupy it. However, not believing in the paranormal, she moved forward with the purchase. For the first few weeks, all was well, and Brenda was able to begin renovations on the home. However, soon, strange paranormal activity would begin, and very quickly, her mind was changed. In this episode, we will explore the terrifying history of the Willows Weep House, a home that has been called by some paranormal experts as the most evil home ever built. In addition, with a demolition done in May 2024, we will explore whether this will actually rid the evil from this location, and as well, we will explore the controversy surrounding the home. The story of this dark house begins in 1890 when Indiana resident Jesse Sykes would build the home. Sykes was a farmer who eventually built a general store in the community and ran it. He was married to a woman named Elizabeth, and shortly after being in the house, they would have a son named Anul. It's important to point out, though, that Sykes was by no means a pillar in the community. He was a troubled man, and in 1874, he was found guilty of pedophilia. Jesse Sykes developed epilepsy later in life and died in a horrifying fashion. While going out to feed the hogs one day, Jesse had a seizure and fell into the hog's pen. He was eaten alive by the starving animals. To make things even worse, sometime after Jesse went to feed the animals, Elizabeth realized she had better check on him. As she approached the pen, she was horrified to see the hogs finishing off her husband. The event traumatized her, and eventually she would have to be institutionalized. Elizabeth would get out of the mental hospital years later. With his father dead and mother institutionalized, Anul would move in the home with his wife and 6 children. Eventually his mother left the mental institution and soon died after returning home to natural causes. Soon after this, Anul would die from a blood clot in the head, and the house would be sold. The Willows Weep home would be purchased by several different owners over the next few decades. Not much is known about many of the residents that resided there, although rumors and paranormal activity circulated in the community around the house. In 2010, Brenda Johnson purchased the home. According to Brenda, at least 7 people who resided in the home tried to commit suicide, including Brenda's niece. When Brenda was looking to buy the home, she spoke with a 90-year-old woman about the Willows Weep home. The old woman had lived in the area her whole life and told Brenda in the 1950s a woman and her 3 children moved in. The woman had had 3 husbands, but all had died under strange circumstances. The elderly woman told her that one of the kids, the woman's young daughter, vanished without a trace one day. Sometime later, her other son hung himself from a doorway. After Brenda Johnson purchased the Willows Weep home and began renovating it in 2010, she and others would begin experiencing paranormal activity. Brenda says she experienced cabinets opening themselves, strange noises under the home and in the walls, and she even saw several ghosts as well. She would be scratched by an invisible entity, and when she lifted up her shirt, Brenda discovered 6 claw marks dug into her skin. Soon after moving in, her son began working on the ceiling, and several pieces of wood that were nailed in came flying down at him at their own accord. Her son suffered no major injuries from the event. That wouldn't be the only person whom was injured while working on the Willows Weep home. Shortly after she bought it, Brenda hired a handyman for odd jobs, including cutting the grass. Sometime after he started mowing the lawn one day, Brenda heard a strange whimper outside and rushed out. She found the man unconscious, in the fetal position against the side of the home. It was as if something threw him against the wall. The man was taken to the emergency room by Brenda, and it was discovered there his spine had been severed in several places. The handyman couldn't recall what happened to him. After the man recovered from the event, he resumed his work at the Willows Weep home. One of his jobs was checking the pipes underneath it. Brenda had been hearing strange noises from under the home and wanted to rule out that it could just be the pipes. As he went into the tiny crawl space, the handyman began crawling on his stomach through it. Soon, though, the man noticed piles of dirt all around him. While this could surely be caused by some type of rodent, the handyman needed to move forward. As he did, he uncovered some type of bone as he was moving the dirt. Not too concerned, as the bone could be from a farm animal, what happened next to the man would truly be frightening. A hand from the darkness would grab his leg and try to pull him further into the darkness. The man got out quickly from the dark space and held on to the bone. As he stood up, a shocked Brenda had ran outside. The man angrily threw the bone at the ground and told her that he would never go back under the house. The bone was taken to a doctor who identified it as being the humerus of a child. It was discovered the bone was at least 50 years old, so the police declined to investigate the event. While the story surrounding her son and the handyman appear to be the most violent, there are other stories that are still very frightening. One involves a strange burn mark on the wall. Brenda alleges that she hung a cross on the wall one day. Then she came in, and the cross had melted and left a burn mark. Even more strange, the mark looked like a goat head. Some have disputed this, though, and said the burn mark was there before she moved in. After years of supernatural activity, Brenda decided she wanted to sell in 2019. She was faced with a difficult decision, though. If she disclosed the activity, it would surely lower the value of the home. If she didn't, though, someone else, more than likely, would experience the paranormal activity, and even worse, might get seriously injured or even killed. In 2019, Brenda was able to sell the Willows Weep home to paranormal investigator David Spinks. She was able to get market value for it. Spinks would make a documentary on the home and write a book on it as well. In 2024, it was announced that the home was going to be torn down. Years before Brenda bought the home, another family resided there. In 1999, Cheryl and Curtis Skinner would buy the Willows Weep home. Only a few years later, in 2001, Cheryl would die from a heart attack. Curtis would eventually commit suicide in the home. While many have pointed out the tragic deaths of these two in the home and speculated the home was involved somehow, there appears to be legitimate reasons as to what happened to these two. The Skinner's two children, Haley and Adam, have said that their mother actually died in the hospital, not in the home, and the children also stated their stepfather's suicide was most likely caused by his cancer diagnosis and not the evil in the home. The two, who have been traumatized by the deaths, have spoke out about their family's experience and have stated many of the claims around the home are untrue. More so, they have expressed their frustration at paranormal investigators for trying to conjure up the spirits of their deceased family. The Skinner children have started a Facebook group dedicated to their parents. In sum, there appears to be a bitter disagreement between the children and David Spinks, the paranormal investigator and owner of the home. While Brenda would experience the most activity and also draw the most attention to the home, it's evident not everyone agrees on what's happened there. We've discussed much of what has occurred in the house, but what about the actual house and property itself? Many have speculated around the architecture of the home. The house itself is built in the shape of a cross, which has led some speculation that it is actually upside down. This is further supported by the fact that the entrance is at the bottom. In addition, the corners of the rooms meet in the center to form a pentagram. Some argue, though, that the house was built in a way to allow air to circulate better throughout the home, and that was somewhat common for homes of that era. The name of the home comes from the willow tree that is in the yard. Some speculate there is even evil surrounding or perhaps buried under the tree. Over the years, there has been many theories on the home and why it is evil. One theory is that the home was built on top of a Native American burial ground. These appear to be quite common in the area, and some think that the home unknowingly was built on top of unmarked graves. It could also be the case that when building the home, they disturbed many of the graves. We've seen this occur in the past with stories such as the Black Hope Curse in Texas. Another theory is that the spirits of those harmed by Jesse Sykes still inhabit the home. It's really not clear how many and to what extent he abused the children. Perhaps the most popular and final theory is the home was built to trap evil. Many paranormal experts have speculated this, as the home contains so much activity and violent spirits. Since there is no apparent source for the activity, it could be the case the home was designed for this purpose. Still, this doesn't really answer the question why the Sykes family have remained in the home for so many years. Some who support this theory have even gone on to say the home might be trying to attract evil and then trap it inside. On May 14th, 2024, David Spinks, the owner of the property, bulldozed the home. In a Facebook post, he highlighted his work on the project the last 7 years. Spinks cited his reasons for demolition to the home due to several investigators being violently attacked and also the end of the project. He noted the land had been blessed by a priest. There does appear to be a dispute between the Skinner children and Spinks on much of what has occurred in the home. This does raise questions around the activity and whether it has been overblown. Spinks would have benefited from overblowing the supernatural and evil, but it appears many other investigators have examined the home and believed it as well. In addition, Spinks bought the home after investigating it first. One can assume that if a paranormal investigator bought the home after spending time there, they must be convinced that paranormal activity was present. It's not evident all that has happened behind the scenes between these two groups, but demolishing of the home seems like it is starting a new chapter on the property. The question it raises, though, is will this new chapter have paranormal activity? That remains to be seen.